In 1991, the Soviet Union collapsed in just 69 days. In 1929, the American economy imploded in weeks. In 2008, Bear Stearns went from $170 per share to bankruptcy in 10 days. What if I told you there's a pattern, and we're already in stage 5? Here's what nobody's connecting. Economic historians have identified a 7-stage pattern that appears before every major empire collapse. Rome, the Ottomans, the British Empire. And right now, the United States is checking boxes like it's following a playbook. But here's the thing. If you understand the pattern, you can position yourself to not just survive, but to actually build wealth while everyone else panics. So let's break this down, stage by stage, and I'll show you exactly where we are and what you need to do about it. Stage 1. Currency dominance and the illusion of invincibility. Every collapse starts with a golden age. The empire's currency is the currency. Everyone wants it. Everyone needs it. For America, this began after World War II with the Bretton Woods Agreement. The dollar became the world's reserve currency. Oil, priced in dollars. International trade, dollars. We could print money, and the world would absorb it because they needed dollars to function. This is the stage where empires get cocky. Rome did it with silver denarii. Britain did it with the pound sterling. And we did it with the petrodollar. But here's the dark truth. This stage plants the seeds of destruction. When you can print money without immediate consequences, you will print money. Politicians love it. It funds wars, social programs, everything, without raising taxes. This is why your grandparents could buy a house for $20,000. The dollar was backed by gold, and there were actual consequences for debasement. Today, we've printed more money in the last 15 years than the previous 200 years combined. Understand that cash is not a long-term store of value in this system. It's a tool for transactions, not for saving. Stage 2. Military overextension. The empire overplays its hand. Here's where the pattern gets predictable. Flush with currency dominance, empires expand militarily. They need to protect trade routes, project power, and maintain the system that benefits them. The United States has over 750 military bases in more than 80 countries. For context, the rest of the world combined has about 30 foreign bases. We spend more on defense than the next 10 countries combined. But here's the trap. Military spending becomes a negative feedback loop. You spend to maintain dominance, which requires more spending, which weakens your economy, which makes you more dependent on maintaining dominance. Rome, at its peak, controlled 5 million square kilometers with legions spread impossibly thin. By 400 AD, they couldn't defend their borders because they'd overextended for centuries. After 20 years in Afghanistan, we spent $2.3 trillion with a T and left in chaos. Iraq, another trillion. These aren't conspiracy theories. These are Congressional Budget Office numbers. When your government spends $1.7 trillion more than it collects every single year, that money gets borrowed or printed. And who pays? You do, through inflation. Inflation is a hidden tax. Your dollar buys less, your wages stagnate, but asset prices, stocks, real estate, gold, inflate. If you're holding cash, you're volunteering to get poorer. Stage 3. Debt accumulation. The point of no return. This is where mathematics becomes destiny. The empire borrows to fund its lifestyle, the military, the social programs, the infrastructure it can't afford. The U.S. national debt is over $36 trillion. Let me put that in perspective. If you spent $1 million every single day since Jesus was born, you still wouldn't have spent $1 trillion. We're 36 times past that, but the debt itself isn't even the scariest part. It's the interest. We now pay over $1 trillion per year just in interest on our debt. That's more than we spend on defense, more than Medicare. We're paying $1 trillion for money we already spent. Every empire hits this stage. Spain in the 1600s borrowed heavily to fund wars in Europe. By 1557, they defaulted on their debt, 4 times in 60 years. France, before the Revolution, spent half its budget on interest payments. Sound familiar? When governments are this indebted, they have 3 options: default, which destroys credibility; austerity, which causes political suicide; or inflate, which secretly transfers wealth from savers to debtors. Guess which one they always choose? Debt is death in personal finance, but in a collapsing currency system, productive debt, like a fixed-rate mortgage on an income-producing property, can actually be your friend. Inflation makes your debt cheaper while your asset appreciates. Stage 4. Loss of currency confidence. The beginning of the end. This is the turning point. The moment when the rest of the world says, "You know what? Maybe we don't need your currency anymore." In 2023, Saudi Arabia, our ally for 50 years, started accepting Chinese yuan for oil sales. OPEC countries are discussing non-dollar transactions. China and Russia are settling trade in their own currencies. The dollar's share of global foreign exchange reserves has dropped from 73% in 2001 to under 59% today. That might not sound dramatic, but in currency markets, that's a massive shift. The BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, are expanding. They're creating alternative payment systems. The mBridge project? It's a digital currency platform designed to bypass SWIFT and the dollar entirely. This is exactly what happened to the British pound. In 1945, it was the reserve currency. By 1976, the UK needed an IMF bailout. 31 years. When currency confidence erodes, purchasing power evaporates. A loaf of bread in Venezuela cost 500 bolivars in 2012. In 2018, 5 million bolivars. Same bread. Worthless currency. Notice your grocery bill lately? That's not corporate greed. That's the market repricing dollars. Diversification isn't just stocks and bonds anymore. Think hard assets, real estate, commodities. Things that have intrinsic value independent of any currency. Stage 5. Social and political fracturing. This is where we are right now. When the economy fails to deliver prosperity, society fractures. Trust in institutions collapses. Political extremism rises. Social cohesion disintegrates. Trust in Congress? 21%. Trust in media? 32%. Trust in the Supreme Court? Lowest in 50 years. Nearly 70% of Americans believe the country is on the wrong track. But here's what's terrifying. This isn't organic. Economic decline creates political extremism. Weimar Germany's hyperinflation gave rise to, well, you know. The French Revolution wasn't about philosophy. It was about bread prices. The wealth gap in America is now wider than it was during the Gilded Age. The top 1% own more wealth than the entire middle class. That's not sustainable. It never has been. Every empire at this stage experiences the same thing. The middle class gets hollowed out, populism explodes, and somebody promises easy solutions. This is the stage where financial literacy becomes survival. When systems are unstable, your ability to adapt, to understand where money flows, to position yourself correctly, that's what separates those who build generational wealth from those who lose everything. In 2008, millions of Americans lost their homes, but some investors? They bought rental properties at 30 cents on the dollar and built empires. Build multiple income streams now. A job is not security. It's a single point of failure. Skills, side businesses, investment income, these are your hedge against institutional collapse. Hey, real quick, if you're finding value in this breakdown, do me a favor. Smash that like button. It tells YouTube to show this to more people who need to hear it. And subscribe, because I'm releasing a follow-up video next week on exactly how to build a collapse-proof portfolio with $1,000 $10,000, or $100,000. The elites don't want this information spreading. Help me prove them wrong. All right, back to the pattern. Stage 6. Economic crisis and system failure. The acceleration phase. This is where things happen fast. Stage 5 can last for years, decades even. But stage 6, this is measured in months or weeks. The trigger can be anything: a bank failure, a debt crisis, a military defeat, a natural disaster. But the underlying fragility is already there. The crisis just exposes it. 2008 almost took us here. Bear Stearns collapsed in days. Lehman Brothers went from AAA rated to bankruptcy in a weekend. In 2023, Silicon Valley Bank failed in 36 hours, the second largest bank failure in U.S. history. We were saved by unprecedented money printing, $4 trillion added to the Fed's balance sheet. But here's the problem. You can only do that trick so many times before you enter. The hyperinflation trap. Germany, 1923. Hungary, 1946. Zimbabwe, 2008. Venezuela, 2016. When you print to solve a crisis, you're just choosing inflation over deflation. Either way, someone pays. This is why you need liquidity and hard assets, cash for immediate needs, but also gold, Bitcoin, real estate, things that can't be printed into existence. Have an emergency fund, but don't just keep it in savings accounts earning 4% while inflation runs 7%. Understand the difference between nominal returns and real returns. Stage 7. Collapse and reset. The new order emerges. The final stage. The empire collapses, but civilization doesn't end. It transforms. Rome fell, but the Byzantine Empire rose. The British Empire dissolved, but America took its place. The Soviet Union collapsed, but Russia emerged. Here's the pattern. The currency dies. Borders potentially change, political systems restructure, but wealth transfers, it doesn't disappear. The question isn't whether systems fail, they all do eventually. The question is, will you be positioned to transfer your wealth through the transition? In every collapse, people who held real assets survived. Land, gold, productive businesses, skills. The families that built generational wealth did it by understanding this cycle. The Rothschilds made their fortune during the Napoleonic Wars, the Rockefellers during the Industrial Transformation, Buffett during the 2008 crisis. Chaos isn't just risk, it's opportunity. Study history. Understand that what seems permanent is temporary, but principles are eternal. So let's be clear about where we are. Stage 1, currency dominance, we had it. Stage 2, military overextension, we're there. Stage 3, debt accumulation, $36 trillion says yes. Stage 4, loss of currency confidence, happening now. Stage 5, social fracturing, look around. Stage 6, economic crisis, not yet, but the fragility is extreme. Stage 7, collapse and reset, unknown timing. Now, I'm not saying America will collapse tomorrow. These patterns play out over years, sometimes decades, and maybe we find a way to reverse course. Pay down debt, restore currency confidence, rebuild social trust. But hope isn't a strategy. Here's what you need to do. 1. Educate yourself financially. Understand money, inflation, assets, and debt. This isn't optional anymore. 2. Diversify your income and your assets. Jobs can disappear. Banks can fail. Cash can inflate. Spread your risk. 3. Build skills that have value in any economy. You can't print skills. You can't inflate away competence. 4. Create community. When systems fail, local networks matter. The people you know, the value you provide, the trust you've built. That's real wealth. And 5. Understand that financial knowledge is the greatest equalizer. The elites know this pattern. They've been positioning for years. That's why billionaires own farmland, gold, and hard assets. You can do the same, at your scale. Starting today. If this video made you think differently about your financial future, hit that subscribe button. I break down economic patterns, personal finance strategies, and the things mainstream media won't tell you. Drop a comment. What stage do you think we're really in? Am I too pessimistic or not pessimistic enough? And check out these videos where I break down exactly how to build a collapse-proof personal economy. Because whether this happens in 5 years or 50 years, you need to be ready. The question isn't if the pattern continues. The question is, will you be ready when it does?